When I opened that old blue toy chest, the one covered in faded stickers and dust from a dozen forgotten afternoons, I thought I'd find nothing more than toy cars and broken crayons. What I found instead was a phone. A phone I had never seen before, hidden beneath my son's stuffed elephant, wrapped in one of his small t-shirts like a secret waiting to be discovered. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My first thought wasn't suspicion, it was confusion. Because I knew every gadget in our home, every charger, every password my husband and I shared. Or at least, I thought we shared. The phone was sleek, black, clean, not dusty like something that had been long forgotten. It was charged. Still warm, even. And that was the moment a cold shiver ran down my spine. I didn't turn it on right away. I just sat there on the floor, in my son's room, the afternoon light spilling through the curtains in uneven stripes across the carpet. I could hear the faint sound of the washing machine downstairs, the hum of an ordinary Thursday, but nothing felt ordinary anymore. Before I tell you what I found on that phone, you need to understand the life I thought I had. My name is Elena. I've been married to Marcus for 8 years. We have one child, our 5-year-old son, Noah, and a little 2-story home in the suburbs. The kind of life that looks good in pictures. Sunday pancakes, family movie nights, morning kisses before work. Marcus worked in IT, often from home, surrounded by wires, headsets, and that quiet intensity that made him look important. I'm a teacher, so my days were loud and full, sticky fingers, spelling tests, laughter. When I came home, Marcus would usually be at his desk, still typing away, headphones on, waving absently as I walked in. He wasn't a bad man. He wasn't cruel or distant, at least, not in ways I could easily name. He made me coffee every morning. He kissed Noah on the forehead every night. But sometimes, I'd catch him smiling down at his phone a little too long. Or going outside to take a work call that sounded more like small talk. I'd ask, "Who is that?" and he'd say, "Just a client." And maybe that should have been my first clue, but after 8 years of marriage, you stop questioning things that don't have sharp edges. You just smooth them out. That day had started normally. It was Noah's day off from kindergarten. We'd spent the morning building a Lego tower taller than him, then had grilled cheese for lunch. He'd run off to play, and I'd gone upstairs to tidy up. That's when I saw his toy chest half open, toys spilling out, an avalanche of plastic soldiers and storybooks. I started picking them up one by one, humming to myself, when my fingers brushed against something smooth and cold that didn't belong. That phone. It shouldn't have been there. And yet, somehow I knew instantly that it belonged to Marcus. The same case style he always used. The faint scuff on the side identical to the one he had before upgrading last year. But why would he hide it here? In our son's room? I sat back on my heels, staring at it, my heart thudding loud enough to drown out the hum of the washing machine. 100 thoughts flashed through my mind. Maybe it's his old work phone. Maybe he forgot it. Maybe I should just leave it alone. But then I remembered how he'd been late the night before. How he'd come in quietly after midnight, smelling faintly of cologne he hadn't worn in years, the one I used to love when we first met. And that's when my hand moved almost on its own. I pressed the power button. The screen lit up. No password. That alone was strange. Marcus always used one. Always. And there it was, a wallpaper of a woman's hand holding a coffee cup. I didn't recognize the ring on her finger. It wasn't mine. I don't remember breathing as I opened the messages. The first thing I saw was a thread named Lila Kissmark. My vision blurred for a second. I scrolled. There were dozens of messages, voice notes, pictures, small, everyday exchanges that didn't sound like work. I miss you. When will she notice? Tonight was perfect. One photo made me drop the phone. It was him, Marcus, standing in front of a restaurant I'd never been to, smiling that soft smile he used to save for me. And his arm was around a woman with auburn hair, half hidden by her scarf. I remember whispering no, as if saying it softly could undo it. Noah's footsteps came down the hall just then, his small voice calling, "Mommy?" I shoved the phone under a pile of toys, forcing my breathing steady. Yes, baby. He came in with a drawing, a stick figure family. Look, it's us, he said proudly. I smiled, but my chest ached. That's beautiful, sweetheart. He grinned, kissed my cheek, and ran off again. And I sat there, surrounded by toy cars and broken crayons, holding a secret that could break our family apart. That night, Marcus came home early. He kissed my forehead, told me he was exhausted from meetings, and asked what was for dinner. I watched him closely, the easy way he moved, the familiar smell of his cologne, the calm voice that had soothed me through so many storms. And all I could think was, you've been lying to me with that same voice. I wanted to ask him right then. I wanted to throw the phone on the table and scream. But instead, I said, just leftovers. You okay? He smiled. Better now. That smile used to melt me. Now it burned. When he went upstairs to shower, I sat alone at the table, staring at the empty plates, my mind replaying every laugh, every hug, every night he'd said he was working late. The woman in the photo, Lila, who was she? A coworker? A stranger? Someone I knew? And why hide the phone here, in our son's room, where he thought I'd never look? Something inside me hardened. I wasn't going to confront him just yet. I needed to know everything. If he'd built a lie, I was going to take it apart piece by piece. That night, when Marcus fell asleep, I crept back into Noah's room, careful not to wake him. The toy chest creaked as I lifted the lid. The phone was still there. And this time, I took it downstairs with me. I was ready to learn the truth, no matter how much it hurt. I sat at the kitchen table, the house wrapped in that strange kind of midnight silence, the kind where you can hear your own heartbeat louder than anything else. The phone screen glowed softly against the dark. I told myself I wasn't snooping, I was searching for the truth. Because love shouldn't have to hide in toy chests or behind fake smiles. The messages were there, waiting like ghosts I hadn't invited. I scrolled slowly. Lila, did you tell her yet? Marcus, not yet. She's been stressed. I'll do it soon. Lila, you've been saying that for months, Marcus. Marcus, I just need to find the right time. The right time. He was planning to leave me. My fingers trembled as I scrolled further. Photos of them together, hotel rooms, dinners, a beach sunset I didn't even know he'd seen. All the while, I was home packing Noah's lunchbox, paying bills, folding laundry. It wasn't even the betrayal that hit me hardest. It was the ease. The casualness of his words. The comfort he seemed to find in her that I thought was ours. One message stopped me cold. Marcus, she'll be fine. She's strong. She'll move on. She'll be fine. As if our life, our marriage, was something he could just step out of like an old coat. I felt my throat close. I turned off the phone and stared at my reflection in the dark kitchen window, just the faint outline of a woman who suddenly didn't know who she was anymore. By morning, my eyes were swollen. I told Marcus I hadn't slept well. He looked at me, concern furrowing his brow. You okay? Headache again. I nodded. Just tired. He kissed my forehead before leaving for work, same as always. I stood there at the door, watching him walk away, realizing how easily he lied, not just to me, but through me. That day, I couldn't focus on anything. The world felt too sharp, too loud. Every sound reminded me of what I'd read. Every message replayed in my head like a cruel song I couldn't turn off. But one question haunted me more than anything else. Who was Lila? Was she someone from his office? Someone I'd met at a dinner? Someone who smiled at me, shook my hand, and walked away knowing she had my husband's heart? By evening, I had decided I needed proof. Something I could hold up to him, something he couldn't lie his way around. So I waited. For 3 nights, I watched his routine. The way he'd tuck Noah into bed, kiss me goodnight, then check emails in the study. I noticed how his main phone never left his side during the day, but at night, he left it on the counter, screen down. That was the phone I knew. The second one, the secret one, was never mentioned again. Until Friday night. I was sitting on the couch when his main phone buzzed. I glanced over. The screen lit up with a notification from Bank Alert. But instead of swiping it away, he froze, his eyes flicking toward the toy chest in Noah's room. Just for a second. But I saw it. He tried to hide it by yawning, stretching his arms, saying, "I'm turning in early tonight." I smiled faintly. "Sure, love. Sleep well." The moment he went upstairs, I slipped into Noah's room again. The phone wasn't there. He'd moved it. I looked everywhere, behind books, drawers, under the bed. Nothing. My heart thudded like a drum. Then I heard something, a faint vibration, from inside the hallway closet. I opened the door. There, under an old box of Christmas decorations, was the phone, glowing softly, buzzing with another message from Lila. "Lila, you said you'd be here by now. Is she still awake?" My hand shook. Before I could think, I typed back. No. She's asleep. And within seconds, a reply came. "Lila, good. I can't wait to see you." I stared at the words, my pulse racing. My hands felt icy cold. I locked the phone again. Put it back. Closed the door quietly. And for the first time in 8 years of marriage, I felt completely alone. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound, the creak of the floorboards, the ticking of the clock, felt amplified. I watched Marcus breathing beside me, peaceful, oblivious. He had no idea I knew. And yet, I wasn't ready to explode. Not yet. Something in me wanted him to reveal himself, to walk into his own lie and trip over it. So I waited. The next morning, Saturday, I told him Noah and I were visiting my sister for the weekend. He smiled too quickly. "Oh, that's great. You deserve a break." There was relief in his eyes, the kind that betrayed him more than any message could. I kissed Noah goodbye, packed an overnight bag, and drove around the corner. Then I parked and waited. 20 minutes later, I saw Marcus step out of the house, hair freshly combed, shirt tucked in, the same cologne again. He locked the door, looked around, and drove away. My chest tightened. I followed. Not closely enough to scare him, just enough to see where he was going. After 20 minutes, he pulled into a small coffee shop across town. And there she was, the woman from the photos. Lila. Auburn hair, long coat, delicate smile. She stood up when she saw him, and the way they embraced told me everything. Not coworkers. Not friends. Lovers. He brushed a strand of hair from her face, the same gesture he used on me for years. And something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to sit quietly anymore. I parked, walked straight into that café, and stood beside their table. Marcus's smile froze. Lila's eyes widened. He whispered, "Elena, my name," like a prayer he didn't believe in anymore. I looked at him, calm, steady. "So this is your client, huh?" The café went silent. The clink of spoons, the hiss of the espresso machine, everything stopped. He opened his mouth to speak, but I held up my hand. "Don't. I've read every message. Every lie. I just wanted to see what kind of woman my husband would destroy our family for." Lila's lips parted, then closed again. "I didn't know you were married?" I finished. "Then I guess you didn't check the toy chest." She blinked, confused. Marcus looked like he'd seen a ghost. I turned to leave. "Enjoy your coffee." And I walked out, head high, heart shaking, but unbroken. I didn't go to my sister's that day. I went home. And as I sat alone in our quiet living room, I realized something simple and painful. You can't make someone love you by holding on tighter. Sometimes you have to let go to see what falls away. That night, when Marcus came home, the phone was on the kitchen table, unlocked, waiting. Next to it was my wedding ring. I kissed his forehead. "I think I already did, baby." Because happiness didn't come in the form of another man or a second chance, it came in peace. In quiet mornings with coffee. In laughter that didn't hide pain. In knowing I survived the fire and didn't lose myself in it. Months later, I boxed up the last of Marcus's things and found that second phone again, still tucked in the back of a drawer. For a moment, I thought about turning it on. Then I smiled, tossed it in the trash, and whispered, "Not this time." Because I'd finally learned the truth might break you, but it also frees you. And I was finally free. Ending message, narration style like Voices of Auntie May. Sometimes, the universe has to break your heart to remind you of your worth. I found my husband's secret phone, and in it, I found my truth. I may have lost a man, but I found myself. And baby, that's the sweetest revenge there is. Then, one evening, a message popped up on my phone. "Marcus, can we talk?" I stared at it for a long time before replying. "About what?" "Marcus, it's important. Please." Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him, not out of love, but closure. We met at a quiet park, near the same spot where he proposed years ago. He looked different, thinner, tired, older somehow. "Elena," he began, "I'm sorry. Truly. I messed up everything." I folded my arms. "You said that before." He shook his head. "No, listen. It's over with Lila." I frowned. "And why should I care?" "She lied to me," he said bitterly. "She was married. She told me she wasn't, but her husband found out. It turned into a mess." For a moment, I just stared. The irony was almost poetic. He'd built his affair on lies and was shocked when it ended in betrayal. I sighed. "You see, Marcus, that's the thing about breaking hearts. It's a circle. You start it, and it always comes back around." He looked down. "I don't expect forgiveness. But I miss you. I miss our family." I studied him, this man I once thought I'd grow old with. And for the first time, I didn't feel pain. Just distance. "You don't miss me," I said softly. "You miss the version of me that loved you no matter what. But she's gone. You buried her with your lies." He swallowed hard. "So that's it?" "That's it." I stood up. "You had a good woman, Marcus. But you traded her for a secret phone and a fantasy. And now you have to live with that choice." I turned and walked away. Behind me, I heard him whisper, "I'm sorry," the kind of sorry that comes too late. That night, I tucked Noah into bed. He looked up at me with those wide, innocent eyes and said, "Mommy, are you sad Daddy's gone?" I smiled faintly. "Sometimes. But sometimes we have to let go of things that hurt us to make room for things that make us happy." He nodded, thoughtful, and whispered, "Then I hope you find something happy soon." When you spend years pouring love into someone who's already half gone, there comes a point where you just stop. And that's where I was. The next morning, I packed his things not in anger, but in peace. One box at a time, I folded the life we shared into memories I no longer needed. When he came down, his eyes were red. "You're really doing this?" I nodded. "You did this, Marcus. I'm just finishing it." He tried to reach for my hand, but I stepped back. "You need to go." He sighed, picked up the box, and walked out. No big speech. No apology that could fix what he broke. Just silence, the kind that tells you it's really over. Days passed. The house felt empty but lighter. I focused on Noah, on work, on anything that made me feel like me again. But healing isn't linear. Some nights, I'd wake up reaching for a man who wasn't there, then remember why. Other nights, I'd check my phone, half expecting a message that said, "I'm sorry." It never came. Then, one afternoon, 3 weeks later, my sister Maya came over, holding her phone with wide eyes. "Elena, you need to see this." It was a Facebook post from Lila. A photo of her and Marcus, smiling, holding hands. Caption: "New beginnings." Sometimes love finds you in the most unexpected places. My stomach dropped. "Already?" Maya whispered. 3 weeks. I stared at the screen. Guess he found his right time. But underneath the bitterness, there was something else, relief. Because now I knew. There was no fixing this. No, what if? He'd chosen his life. Now I had to choose mine. Months went by. I rebuilt piece by piece, joined a local book club, took Noah on weekend trips, laughed again without forcing it. When Marcus walked into the kitchen that night, His face went pale. The second phone. My ring. And me, sitting across the table, silent, waiting. He looked like a man caught between two fires. Elena, his voice cracked. It's not what you think. I almost laughed. Oh? Then tell me, Marcus. What exactly am I supposed to think when your second phone has a woman's name written all over it? He ran his hand over his face, pacing. You went through my stuff? That question told me everything. Not why I looked, but how dare I look. I stared at him. You had a whole other life in our son's toy chest. I think the right question is, why did you give me a reason to look? His shoulders slumped. I didn't mean for it to happen. My jaw tightened. You didn't mean to sleep with her? You didn't mean to lie to me for months. He fell silent. The kind of silence that says, yes, but I'll never admit it out loud. After a long pause, I whispered, how long? He hesitated. Almost a year. A year. A full year of birthdays, dinners, and I love yous built on quicksand. I nodded slowly. And our anniversary trip? The one you canceled last minute because of work emergencies? That was her, wasn't it? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. The air between us thickened, heavy with the ghosts of every lie. I stood up, sliding the phone toward him. You can keep it. Seems like it holds your real life. He reached out, almost pleading. Elena, please. I made a mistake. She meant nothing. Nothing. I snapped. You built a whole life with your nothing. You told her I'd be fine. That I'd move on. His eyes widened. You read that? Yes. I stepped closer. And you were right. I will move on. But not in the way you think. That night, he slept in the guest room. I didn't cry. Not anymore. Something inside me had gone quiet, not numb, but clear.